G'day, welcome to Talking Trail. We've got two Robs and myself, Sara. And today, well, we're going to do what's the latest, aren't we? We've got news on Running Wild events.
Yep, got the latest news. We've got an update on our speed challenge. It's park run and the super shoes.
Definitely. Guest interview this week.
Yep. So
we've got a great interview coming up with a 6-foot living legend. So what's the latest news?
So Running Wild, unfortunately last night they had to postpone their Mount Portal event. They'll let us know when there's a new date set. Obviously that's going to be a little bit difficult to slot it in amongst races, but I'm sure they'll do a great job in working out the best time to do that. But unfortunately National Parks decided to do a hazard reduction burn on the
it wouldn't be great to be running hard during a hazard burn, I don't think. I think that's a good decision.
Or even a week later.
Yeah.
It's not great. So, so that's unfortunate news for the Running Wild team. In good news for the Running Wild team, the Mount Solitary Ultra is, as of lunchtime today, 85% sold out. So if you're on the fence about it or you're umming and ahhing, you haven't got around to doing it yet, jump on, enter.
Awesome.
Yep, getting close.
I know. We're all in it.
Yep.
We're all in it.
We're all in that. So.
Whether it's a good decision or not, it's a different thing, but we're all in it.
May regret it.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm trying to think of when I last did it. I think maybe it was 2020 for me or something. Anyway, it's a while ago. So to try and beat that time is going to be hard. But we'll give it a good crack. We'll see how we go. And we'll do we'll organise some Sunday runs where we can do some probably Kadumba solitary kind of repeat sessions, or at least out back, get to the top of the col and get our legs nice and tough for the mountain climb. Yeah,
so that'll be a good taste test for people who've never done Mount Solitary before to come along and do that. So they'll do the first 12 Ks?
Well, it's about 10. Isn't it 10 Ks to the col?
Is it?
Yeah,
10 Ks
from
there.
The QVH.
So it's the first 10 Ks of the race, and then coming back, you get the last 7 or 8. Back up Kadumba. So we might do that as one session, and then another session we'll do before the race might be to run out along Sublime Ridge. If we don't do the logbook again. Then we could do sort of the last 15 Ks of it and make it a 30K run.
Yeah, that'd be good. So we'll get the hardest 5K and then probably the second hardest 7K in that out and back. So nice. Good run.
So the Summit Gear Sunday run, we've got this week, which will be in 2 days' time, for you listening to this, if you're listening to this on Friday night, will be Forco Point. So we're going to we're going to meet at the Springwood High School sort of on-street parking and run out. So it's about just over 18 Ks all the way out to the lookout and back.
But not too hilly.
Not too hilly. It's just it's a pretty relatively fast run, but obviously we're a week out. We're in from 6 foot. We're in taper mode, so it'll be a nice conversational friendly pace.
Yeah, definitely.
Or at least for some of us.
No.
If you're doing it as a final hit out, then go for
it.
Yeah. But also if you wanted to do it a bit shorter, obviously you could turn around sooner and come back. But it's probably nicer if you drive a bit further, go to the trailhead, park there, and then it's only sort of a 13.5 kilometre run. That way you'll get to the lookout, which is, I suppose,
it's beautiful.
The point of the run.
Well, I guess we are in taper mode now. So how's your taper going? What's your strategy? Do you think you've done enough? Is it not enough? Too much? What do you think, Sara?
All right. Well, I guess this is still the 2 weeks out from tomorrow. It's 1 week. Or when this is published, it's pretty much 1 week. Trying to do probably what most of the statistics say, like 30% less in general. This time around, I was actually thinking, does that only mean kilometers, or do you do that with elevation and you do that with your strength stuff? So if you kind of apply it to everything.
Yeah.
And then next week, probably just, 50% less.
Yeah.
Try go in nice and fresh. I think from here on in, you can't get much benefit, right? It's just about
I don't
fresh,
think so. I think we can only freshen up from now on.
Yeah.
So this week we did the Kadumba rep, which I did pretty hard. That was Tuesday was my last, I guess, hard session, I think. And then I did I did a strength training yesterday, and that'll be my last one. We are going to do a pretty quick, brisk 5K on Saturday, and then everything else is going to be just easy, kind of casual running for me. I think just just turn the legs over a couple of times next week and just freshen up as much as I can.
Yeah, sounds good.
My strategy is always to pretty much run every day, but only like after the weekend, we try to do sort of somewhere 15 to 20, and obviously we're going to do 18 point something on Sunday. But then, like, I pretty much run every day if I don't do a spin session on one or two
Even
of those
the day
days.
before?
Yeah, but I just go out really easy.
Yeah.
So I'd sort of generally after like sort of say 20K on the Sunday, Monday would be like an easy 6 to 8. Tuesday would be 6. Wednesday would be 6. Thursday might be a half an hour to 40 minutes on a spin bike. And then Friday would be about 4. But really, really easy. But on all of those runs, like almost zone 1. But I would have maybe 4 or 5 200-meter stride outs in that just to try and keep the phantom niggles away. Like, so some people will go, oh, look, I'll just drop. So when they drop, like to drop the 50% or whatever, and then they'll just not run for a couple of days. And then you get to sort of Thursday before a race and you start to feel, oh, my ankle's locking up a bit, or my calf's a bit funny, or my knees a bit, and, it's just the phantom niggles, that come along. And so having a strategy where you keep telling your body to keep working, the stride outs are about reminding your body to run fast, that it can run fast, rather than just doing a whole lot of really slow, too slow running. So that's just like sort of in the second half when you're warmed up, but before you get to the finish of your run, and just to put in a few sort of, you might do like 30 or 40 seconds or do 200 meters, but it's stride. So you're slowly building up for the first 100 meters and then hold that pace and then just ease off towards the end.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Do you use stride outs?
I'm probably going to a bit more this time. In the past, I haven't been too specific with taper. But a lot of the books and everything says to do some strides. But interesting what you say about the phantom niggles, because like I have rocked up, I think the last 6 foot I did, I was kind of limping the day before a bit randomly. And then at the race, like just before, like had this kind of limp in my foot. But then by the end of the race, I had no problem and there was no issue and it never came back. So it was just this weird, like, am I like, what is this injury? And then it went away and I was like, I don't know what that was. So so that's a thing, phantom niggles. Good to know.
Definitely. And have you dialed in your kit for the race? You've locked that in?
My kit, absolutely. That's the one thing that I know exactly what I'm wearing, which is
good. Okay. Yeah, because I'm I think after Tuesday's run, I just did a run with a carry flask. I've decided I'm going back to my vest.
Oh, really?
Safe. You want to be comfortable.
Yeah. It's just what it's what I'm used to. Unless it's super hot, I'll that's what I'll do. I'll go back to my vest and just have everything that I want, just right where I want
it. Okay. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely won't be wearing a vest. No. So I've done years where I've had the handheld, in a hard bottle, like an 800 ml bottle or whatever, and I've done the ones in the back, with the bottle in the back. But now I'm going to wear the T8 Ultra Shorts. Yeah. So there's a lot more space in those. I've done my last 2 sort of 30K runs. I tested out how many gels I can fit in, plus a 500 ml flask. And I've had my phone in the bag, car keys. So, so I'm going to race with that. So I have the T8 Commando undies, I have the T8 Ultra Shorts, and then 500 ml flask in there. Probably my BWMC t-shirt or singlet. I'm not sure about that yet. I've often run in the singlet just for breathability and lightness, but sometimes you get a bit of chafing just under there. So I figured, I might just go to the t-shirt this time as it's light and breathable. Yeah, and then a hat. Yeah,
cool. Did you decide?
I think I'm going to do the handheld flask.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not in the comfort zone yet, so we'll see. I might do a last minute change. Like you, if the weather's kind of pretty temperate, not too hot maybe.
Yeah, nice.
And of course, Pretty Geo shoes.
Yes.
The Pretty Geo Pros.
And on that, we've got our park run this weekend. So last weekend, people might have noticed that at least you and I were going pretty hard out front. So last week we did a run as hard as we could of the Lawson Park run using old shoes. Yep. And so this week we're going to repeat that with our super shoes, our Pretty Geo super shoes, and see if we notice a difference in our performance. So,
and Lawson's hilly, it's technical, so it's a good one to try.
It's a good one to see.
There were so many people last week too. It's getting a huge turnout.
It was a big event, and and
so we'll be taking names again for anyone who wants to jump on.
We've done that. We've got that.
Yeah, no, we did that, but it's not too late for people to.
Oh, if someone wants to, let us know. And then we also have the times from everyone doing the park run that we're going to then correlate against their 6 foot performance and see how it correlates whether their 5K matches.
Was indicative.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. But we've got all the names, got all the times, and if anyone else wants to let us know that they want to be part of it, then just rock up and do a nice park run on Saturday.
Yep. So park run Saturday, 4K Point Sunday. Next weekend, no Summit Gear run on the Sunday because we'll all be recovering from a hard 6 foot.
Yep.
And then the following week, so we're going to team up with the Hazelbrook Trail Runners. So we've been talking to Craig. So they've just been going since January. So it's a very new club run on a Wednesday night at 6 p.m. from the Hawkesbury shops. Hazelbrook shops.
Yeah.
So it's roughly an hour run, conversational pace. So it's seen as a friendly social recovery run. So if you're looking for a PB, maybe that's not the right place. But if you want to explore some new trails around the Hazelbrook area, then jump in with that. So so we're just going to partner up, and Craig's going to take us through around Terrace Falls Loop. So we'll start Sunday morning.
Sunday.
So Sunday morning start at 7 a.m. So one of the things that because they only want to run for an hour, because it is a Wednesday night, they might have to get dinner ready and get the kids into bed. So you can't really go too long on a Wednesday night. So it's just, he just tries to stick with 1 hour, whereas being a Sunday morning, maybe we can go for 1.5 to 2 hours. So he's going to have a look at that, but we think we'll just do a Terrace Falls loop. If you've never run in that part of the Blue Mountains, then come along.
Yeah, there's a lot of area there to run. Lots of single trail, lots of fire trail.
Yeah, so Craig was telling me today they've been doing it for 6 or 7 weeks and have not done the same run twice.
Yeah, cool.
So
it's
awesome.
I like on his poster how he says no one gets left behind. That's nice.
Yeah, as I said, it's very social, and our run will be social too, because this will be still recovery, because only 1 week after 6 foot for us. Certainly, we won't be trying to set any PBs or anything, so it'll be a nice recovery social pace for us as well.
Definitely.
Then the week after that, that's when we'll hit Kadumba and do a Mount Solitary focused run.
I reckon.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Awesome.
So who's the interview?
So this week's interview will be the last of our 6 foot series for this year. And this time I'm interviewing a living legend number 2, Domonic Boidin. So, cracker of an interview. He's very much what the old school types would call a raconteur. I had a really great time catching up with Domonic. And after we finished recording, we probably spoke for another couple of hours. And I said to him, mate, you're definitely coming back for next year's 6 foot series, because he had so many other stories we could talk about. But I really took a lot from. I was really impressed, actually. Domonic is a very impressive character. His resume in terms of Ironman and swimming and running is right. It's pretty legendary.
Yeah.
But then his old man, who got him and his brothers into it. Some of the stuff his dad had done well into later years is really impressive as well, and certainly something that we all want to aspire to as well. So, you'll hear all about that in the interview as well.
So some good genetics there too, maybe.
Yeah. I think, and I think also like dragging your kids along and doing things that provide that engine, And we heard in the first interview for this year, which we've been art up, again, a story about a dad taking the boys out and doing these massive endurance events, whether in the bush or something organised. I think there's a lot in that to build the capillaries and the mitochondria early, build that engine, and then as they go through their teens and later
they've got an unfair advantage.
There. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, here's the interview with Domonic Boidin.
Today is the third in our series focusing on the 6 foot track. And today I have the very great pleasure to be interviewing living legend number 2, Domonic Boidin. Welcome, Dom.
Thanks, Rob.
Now, just to explain how you get the esteemed title of living legend, and I know it irks me a bit that these days terms like champion and legend get thrown around for practically anything or doing nothing. So I got up and ran around the block. Oh, you're a legend, and that gets sort of lost. But I really do like the way that in terms of the 6 foot track, you really have got to earn the title of living legend. And I really also like that there's the kudos that goes with it. So I mentioned in the Rod Cutler interview, everything related to the 6 foot track, all the acknowledgements in multiples of 6. So once you've done your 6 foot track, then you get a belt buckle.
You get your buckle, yeah.
Yep. When you've done 12, you get the belt to go with it, and it's got an inscription on it about 6 foot track. When you do 18, these days you get a vest. I don't know, did you get one?
You get a vest. Troubled me. I thought you get a belt and a buckle. Surely they'd give you a pair of trousers instead.
Yes.
18 you get a jacket, that's correct.
Yep. And then for 24, which is obviously quite an achievement, it means you've been running for at least 24 years, doing this same race and turning up at the start line, and not only turning up at the start line, but getting it finished, getting it done. Then you get the title of living legend, and in the sequence of people that have finished it, so Max was the first one.
That's right,
to get to 24, LL1.
Yeah, Max is LL1. Yeah.
Yep, you're LL2.
Yeah, well, Max started in 84. I started in 85.
Yeah.
And there's a story behind that too, but we'll get to that.
Well,
later.
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Peter Barnes is still going. He's number 3.
He's number 3.
He's going to toe the start line. I was
Again?
speaking to him a couple of weeks ago. So the kudos that goes with that.
I just mentioned number 4, Bobby Fickle.
He's still going too.
No, he's not still going, but he's a bit of a legend.
Absolutely.
He's a what was it? The Sydney to Melbourne Westfield runner. So he's completed that way back in the day. So Bob's a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I still see he still comes up and does some running wild events.
Yeah.
If he's not doing 6 foot track anymore, then but he's certainly still out running. I know he's still doing marathons. So.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and he also he turns up and helps with presentation at 6 foot track at the end of
That's right.
Because he has a good connection with Chris Stevenson, who is the timing guy. Yeah. So there you go.
Yep. No, I have fond memories of seeing him at the presentation. He proudly wears the vest.
He's got everything. Yeah.
Yep. So you not only get your race bib and then the number then that's retired. So you get to run in it, but you're the only person who will ever run in that number.
At the start, I think it was like the suited runners were 1, 2, 3.
As you'd expect in a lot of races.
As soon as Max got number 1. He became a legend. They changed the numbering, so he just got number 1, and then they got 001.
Right.
For the runners, for the suited runners. So 2 was retired, and I got 2. Yeah. But before, you got to do 24 to become a legend, but then you still have to qualify your number. In my opinion, you've got to run
that. You mean
you've got to run with that number.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, you've got to run with that number.
I agree. We've had that. I've had that conversation with a couple of people, including Peter.
Yeah,
and said, you can't. I don't believe, and obviously you're in the same mind, that you can't just finish on 24 because you want to do at least one race with your race number.
You got your number. You got to.
So you got to at least do 25. Yeah.
Well, I became an Ironman legend back in 2006. You got to do 10 Ironman triathlons in Australia.
To become a legend.
Yeah, from an Ironman Australian legend. So I got number 173, so I was 173rd triathlete, become an Ironman legend. It took me another 7 years before I qualified the number. I wasn't even going to qualify it, but I thought, you got to do it. So 7 years later, I went and did another Ironman, did 11.
That would have been a bit harder.
7 years later.
7 years later.
Don't do it.
And so from my memory of the very first Australian Ironman, because I had one of my schoolmates, his older brother did it.
At Foster.
So that would have been, I think, early mid-80s?
Early 80s, and it was called GLITA, Glita, Great Lakes International Triathlon Association, I think. I wasn't involved in that then. I didn't start my Ironman journey till 94, which has got nothing to do with 6 foot track, by the way.
No, that's all right.
But it does have a connection for me anyway.
Yeah.
And they did it near Pacific Palms. The swim was in the lake there. It was so cold that a lot of the field couldn't finish the swim. And I think Scott Tinley or someone like that was out there to do the race, and they had to go out in a boat to give him a wetsuit so he could at least finish it because he was an international guy.
Uh-huh.
So it was pretty, And then they changed the course later after. But anyway.
Because triathlon had been around, and the Nepean triathlon had been around for a long time. But in the early years, and I talked to Ben Artup on a previous podcast about the Nepean triathlon, and back in the early years of that, it was a teams event. So you'd have one person who'd swim the length of the river, and then another person would ride.
No. 82 Nepean started.
Right.
And they used to walk across the Victoria Bridge to the other side, and they swim across the rowing club, which was 800 metres, right? Then they'd hop on their bike and they'd do, I think it was about a 40K ride.
Must have been something decent.
Yeah,
like that.
and then it was a 14K run.
Yeah.
And that was 82. I did my first one in 83. And it was the same thing. And we just had to prop our bikes up wherever we could near the rowing club. And, you did your ride, and the run was up over Lapo and all sorts of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the teams event come in about 84, 85, something like that. But
that'd be about right. That's it. I did the run league in the team.
Yeah.
It would have been about 84.
Yeah, but it was always started as a triathlon.
Right.
Teams come in later.
Okay.
And as with 6 foot track, it's all the money goes to the volunteer agency, like the Rural Fire Service, which is a great thing. Nepean was much the same. All the profits, all the money from the race went to the organisations that would man the water stations, things like that. So it was a not-for-profit run also for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only other one I knew of was Royal National Park did the same thing, and that was
over at Audley.
Over at Audley, yeah. That was a good triathlon. Did 10 of those straight too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that's through the 90s then?
It started in 84.
Okay.
84, I think. Yeah, I did my first one in 84. And I went, that's the first year. And I went through and I got my 10 up. I got a free helmet for that.
Oh, wow. So the 6 foot track as a race started in 84.
That's correct.
And there were just 7 people that did that.
Yeah, a bit of the history of that was Ian Hutchinson. He was mates with, I can't think of the guy's name, but he was a bit of a historian about the Blue Mountains. And he worked out, well, he knew that the track opened in 84 for Lord and Lady Carrington to ride their horses through to Junolan Caves from Katoomba. So they made the track 6 foot wide, so the horses could go along. Mm-hmm. That's what's called 6 foot track. Not the length, but the width. Anyway,
So when was that, like 1884?
1884. 1884. So 100 years later, they got approval from the Lands Council or somebody like that to open it back up as a bushwalk. And Ian Hutchinson decided to do this run to start it off. So they got the Lord Mayor of Oberon, and they got Maxie, Big Chris Stevenson, Bobby Madden. I can't remember the other guys. Two guys from Bathurst.
Mm-hmm. And Ian?
And Ian, yeah. And Ian invited my father and myself to go. But we were just coming off, I was just coming off 4 big events, like a 50K track race at Parramatta Park, 3 almost half Ironman tries, and I just met my wife. And I said to the old man, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because Hutcho and my dad and Big Chris Stevenson, they ran 100 milers and stuff like that back in the day. And, that's why we were invited. And I said...
But were there 100-mile races then, or was it just runs?
They were just the Sherwood Village down at...
Kingswood there.
Orchard Hills.
Orchard
Hills, that's it, yeah. They ran it there, that sort of stuff. Yeah, just on a track.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my dad, he...
Done 100 miles.
100 miles.
It was like a 24-hour event or something.
No, it's just well, they knocked it over in 20 hours.
Okay.
So, and some place were doing it in 12, Good runners back in those days. Oh, they're still good runners today, but, yeah, the history of that 100 miles has been going for a long time. They were called centurions.
Yeah.
So 85 is when I ran my first 6-foot track.
Yep.
And we ran it from Jenolan Caves to Katoomba.
I was going to ask you about that because I knew that, and Peter Barnes had mentioned that about the reverse year, or what we called the reverse year because it was the reverse of what most of us have ever run.
Well, it was set up by Hutch to sort of mirror the comrades. Right?
Yeah.
Because they reverse it.
Yeah.
But logistically it didn't work because we're going to get changed. The Katoomba Explorer's Tree, what's going to happen?
Yeah, there's not much parking.
Nothing there, not even a toilet.
Yeah.
So it worked out all right, but yeah. And we turned up in 85 and we hopped on a bus and they bussed us in to Jenolan Caves and we started at 10 o'clock. And, driving down into Jenolan Caves, looking at those hills going, we had no idea what the track was.
Oh, so you'd never done it in training?
No idea. I don't think anybody had, except the guys from the year before. All unchallenged, unsighted, unseen, never run on by me and probably 99% of the people in the field. There was only about 35 starters.
There were 35 starters.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a bit of research.
Yeah.
So that the first year there were 7, the next year there were 35. So you've already answered my question about how you found out about it through Hutcho. The next year it was 68.
That's right.
In 86. In 87 there were 111 and then 140. So it just kept growing. But did you imagine when you did it back in 85 with 35 people that would grow to a race that was, still going, 30-something years, 40 years later, but also I was just doing the numbers and there's over 9,000 different people
knocked it over.
Have started the race. Yeah.
Well,
did you have a sense of that? Like that
not really.
It was going to be that big?
It is a testament to the organisers, previous and present, that they're able to establish this and keep it going. And I think that's an excellent thing. And it's become, they call it iconic. Well, everybody wants to have a crack at it and do it. Yeah. Some people are silly enough to just keep turning up every year. What's his name? Kevin Tiller.
Yep.
The previous race director. He ran a 4:11 and he called himself a 6-foot sicko.
6-foot sicko. That was a goal for a lot of people and get the T-shirt that had 6-foot sicko.
Well, he's not a sicko. Yeah. The bloke who does 24 is a sicko. Keeps turning up like a nut.
Or a legend.
No, good on you, Kev. No, he's a good guy. Yeah.
So the other thing that you get, besides getting ordained living legend and whatever the number is, you also get a really nice framed portrait with your name and a number of photos from
previous runs that they've been able to find.
So has that got pride of place at home?
It did. That's been moved into the garage.
Okay.
Which is a man cave, which is okay.
That's all right. It's like the pool room.
It's like in the pool room.
It's the pool room.
It's going to be the pool room. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I was really happy to achieve it. I never set out to do that. It was never on my agenda. Look, a bit of history about the first 3 years too. 85, 86 and 87, they were extremely hot. And there's an article on on the website for the 6 foot track where Max has written it down about how hot they were. 85 was that going back the other way, and that was like 30 degrees and very hot. And we didn't see a single soul. You know, there were people in front of you, but unsighted. People behind you, unsighted.
Yeah.
A lot of eccentrics. One guy went past us at Allen Creek. He had a business shirt on and a pair of walk shorts and a pair of Dunlop volleys and an umbrella. Not an umbrella. A raincoat under his arm and a whistle, because it said you had to carry a whistle, and so some of these people just took it to.
That was like a mandatory gear.
Yeah. That was mandatory gear. Yeah. Right. You got your whistle? No, I didn't have one. But
and what did you carry for fluids, for water?
Oh, we just had a bicycle bidon.
Okay.
Yeah, no handheld thing. Just carried it. Little backpack if you wanted to. A few biscuits and things like that. But there was food along the way. There was bananas and watermelon and sort of Bilpin apple juice.
Oh yeah,
was a sponsor. Yeah,
beautiful.
So there was always this Bilpin apple juice, and Ian Hutchinson this is 85. He was the first sweeper, so he just made sure that caught up to people. If they couldn't finish it, well, they pulled him out at a certain spot. He picked me and my father up just near.
So your father's Keith?
Keith, yeah.
Keith,
okay.
I was going to ask because I wasn't sure if it was a brother.
Yeah. So I was 27, 28, and he was like 57, something like that,
But he was an endurance beast, obviously, also.
Yeah.
A bit of a role model there.
Yeah. I was, he's the one who enticed me to. He encouraged me to run my first marathon. But there was always sporting background anyway. Rugby league, big in swimming, surf. We were in the nippers and surf teams races, all that sort of stuff. Swimming was always a big agenda for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And then running came into it a little bit later, and there's a bit of history there. But when Hutch caught us at where were we? Nellie's Glen. He had a big bottle of Bilpin apple juice with him. He's running along swigging it. So he had a hit, and then halfway up Nellie's Glen, there's a culvert, a water culvert. Do you know of it? Yeah. So that was nice and full, so we could douse ourselves down, and got to the top, and that was great. And we got a little silver cup. It's had the 6 foot track Blue Mountains Echo, and the Echo was an old newspaper, a local rag, and they were the sponsor for quite a few years. Yeah, and it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Peter Barnes had shared with me some copies of. He's got them in the scrapbook.
Oh, has he?
The old Echo articles.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The back page or the front page.
Yeah, I should have kept those, but I didn't.
So I assumed it was a forerunner to the Gazette. It was the Echo 6 foot track.
But 86 was like 36 degrees with a strong westerly blowing, and I remember it was an election day, and we come up from. I moved into the mountains in 86 in August or September. Sorry, I was still living at Lawson Park, and we drove up. Me, my dad, and my youngest brother, Ben. He was only 18, right? And we had to go and vote. So we voted at Falcon Bridge Primary School.
Mm-hmm.
And we got up to Explorer's Tree, 10 o'clock start. It was probably already 35 degrees, And the amount of people that just decimated the field, basically, And it was tough going, really tough going, but we had 8 hours too because the race it was a cut-off of 8 hours. We got to the top of deviation. When we got to the deviation, my young brother was in a real bad way. And the fire truck was there. They opened up I think they got this big funnel at the top and all this water came. We put him under that, cooled his body temperature right down, and he went off like a rocket. So... But he wasn't too good when he got home. He'd lost about a stone. So, that's pretty dangerous stuff to lose that amount of weight in a race. I think today if it was going to be that hot, they might not even run it. You know, I don't know, but people got to be careful with.
Or they'd make you have your mandatory. I know, like just before Christmas, we were down at the Grampians for the GPT miler, and they were, and it was shockingly hot. It was like 36 degrees, as well, and they had some aid stations there where they said you can't leave here without 3 litres of water.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know, like they were being really strict with it. So not just capacity too, but they were saying, show us you've got 3 litres of water, and people were still running out. Like it's just. So at what point did the RFS get involved?
From the start.
Right. So you had sort of as aid stations.
All the aid stations were they've always been in the same spot. Might have moved, 100 metres here and there, but they're always there.
All right.
So they're always there. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was set up for them. Basically.
As a fundraiser.
As a fundraiser, yeah. Well, they knew you needed the logistics, so it made sense.
Yeah.
So Hutch, he worked it out, and Big Chris Stevenson, they worked it out together. 87 was a hot year also, but I'll just mention also, my father and myself were the first father and son team to ever run a 6-foot track. So, I don't know if they don't give awards for father,
No, they don't.
But it is there.
That would be a very cool thing.
Yeah, it is.
So when I was looking at the results, the sheet, there's a big spreadsheet that's got every person, and it hasn't been updated for last year, but and I was looking through and I could see all the Boidins.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, so I'm similar to you, sort of grew up as a rugby league. In a rugby league family, and having 3 other brothers who all played league, and thinking, so back then, sort of like the dream would be to all lace up the boots and just run, especially because I had 2 brothers who played on into their 30s. So,
there you go.
So it could have happened at some stage that we'd all run on in the field in the same team, but it never did,
Nah.
So having a younger brother, Sean, who sort of followed me into the ultra and trail running scene, and we've now gone off to, we've run interstate races and overseas, and a lot of local races together. It's a really nice thing to be able to share that with your brother. So I was going to ask that because I wasn't sure, I wasn't aware that Keith was your dad. And so I just thought, and I saw Benedict, and there's a couple other names.
Me and my father and myself, Keith and Dominic, 85. Keith, Dominic and Ben, 86, 87. And then we missed 88 because the last running of the Sydney Triathlon at Narrabeen Lakes was on. And Dad had done all of those. He didn't want to miss it. So 6-foot track was Saturday. That was on Sunday.
So he was doing triathlons in his mid to late 50s?
Yeah. It was there and you just jump on it and away you go. If you can swim, everyone can ride a bike running's running. The biggest thing about triathlon is people sort of freak out about swimming. But if you've got a background, it's okay.
Mm.
But then I think Damien started in 89.
Mm-hmm.
And me, Damien and Ben, we swept in, I think it was 92.
I didn't notice you swept a couple of years, didn't you?
No, just one.
Oh, was only one? Okay.
Yeah. We were going to do the 12th year, all the sweepers were going to get together and run it, but me and my brothers just didn't do it for some reason. Yeah, and I think Ben did about 13. Damien did 6, got his buckle. And I kept going. It wasn't intended to keep going, but it was in my backyard, so I thought I'll just keep going. But it was a training run for the Ironman for me. So I started my Ironman journey in 94. I started triathlons in 83, but my Ironman journey was 94. So the 6-foot track was in March, the Ironman was in April, perfect big run. So before I knew it, 2006, I only had 3 years to go and I was a legend. The 6-foot track, so I thought, I'll keep going. And
so you were that close to it before you sort of committed to, I'm going to go after this.
Yeah. Well, we knew that you went for your jacket because, Max was there and all those guys, Peter Barnes. And I think there's a photo of all the jackets taken way back. There's probably only about 7 of us at the time. But once you got your jacket And then Maxie was still going, I was still going, Peter was still going. And I think it was the 23rd year, and I said to Kevin Tiller, I says, what can you do for Max next year? He said, oh, don't worry, we've got something in mind. So he got his legend, and I think I was 2 behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he did 84, I missed 88, so that put me 2 behind him. Then I rocked up, got one. It was good. It was really good. It was a good achievement. Didn't realise I was going to get it. When I did get it, I thought, that's pretty damn good. Yeah, yeah.
And then you went on to do still a few more.
Yeah,
27 in total, didn't you?
Yeah, I wanted to go 5 times around the sun, which is 5 sixes, but I only got 4.5. I sort of lost interest in it a bit, Plus, I was retired, right? I finished work 2 years earlier, and I did my last 6-foot track, and then I did my Ironman legend number qualifier. Then we went overseas for 4 months around Greece, and spent 3 months in Greece, and then a month in England and Ireland. And I was having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I still like my physical activity and endurance stuff, but I don't run anymore. But I still like to keep fit. So and I think I got an injury in 2014 that stopped me. 2015 because I was just lacking drive. I started training 6 weeks out and blew a calf muscle. Same thing happened in 2016. I thought, that's it. With 3 years of, not having to qualify, we're gone. And that shut me out.
Mm-hmm.
So that shut me out altogether. So
fair enough.
Which is how it goes, and I couldn't be bothered trying to qualify for a run that I know back to front.
Yep.
So
did you ever do the 12-foot?
No. Never did that. No. All I did was just do my 6-foot track. My triathlons, Ironman, 6-foot track. Prior to that, I was running road marathons also. So always wanted to break 3 hours, but only managed 3:11.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is not too bad, I thought.
No, it's better than my record. So.
But we used to train with a good mate, John Trotter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Brendan Trotter's his son, and he's got 5 boys, and but Brendan, he excelled quite well at triathlon. But me and John, we were like we'd be running like this, bang bang, one in front of the other, one in front of the other, just drag them another along. I was good on hills. I was good on downhills. He was a little bit better on the flats. Yeah, so but we pushed one another pretty hard.
So John kept going for a while.
I think he pulled a pin at 13 too.
Yeah, but I met him through the Blue Mountains Joggers.
Yeah, correct.
Tom
Yeah.
Hunter, And he was still going into later years.
Yeah. Quite a few. There's Roger Bowen is another mate. Roger's run about 6. Chris Knutson, he's got his jacket. We're all local guys, all involved with the Blue Mountains Joggers.
Mm-hmm.
I was never actually a jogger. Used to go on a few runs with them. I was a bit of a loner, sort of like to train on my own, and plus I had brothers that I trained with, which was, yeah.
Did they follow you into triathlon as well?
My brothers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I did my first Nepean, my brother Ben, he came along also. And Martin. So there's Martin, me and Ben, Dad. And then Damien come into it. And so there was like four brothers in the old man. Another 2 brothers that they just weren't interested. So not everyone's, so yeah. But yeah, it was good. And we did Nepean, we did the Royal National Park, Sydney Tri, which was a great triathlon.
Where was that held?
It was held down in Narrabeen Lakes, the sporting complex there.
Yep.
It was a 2.1k swim. It was a 56 cycle and a 21.1 run. So it was almost a half Ironman.
Yeah, it was almost a 70.
Yeah. 7 point, what was it called? 7.3. 7.3, something like that, yeah. But that was a tough course. It was very hilly all up around that Mona Vale area. So Powder Works Road, all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty hilly stuff. And Ian Hutchinson, the race director who started it, he was into that too. You know, earlier you spoke about the first Ironman in Australia. The first Ironman in Australia was run by Triple M, the radio station, on the Northern Beaches.
Yeah, that's the one I was referring to.
That's the one you're referring to. Yeah. Okay. I thought you meant the one at Foster. How it kicked off at Foster was a glitter, but the Triple M one, was there. Yeah. So I think they dropped down into the Hawkesbury River somewhere and cycled back out. And the run was up around the Northern Beaches. I can't remember where the swim was. Yeah, but no, we never got into it at that stage. Yeah, but they knew. The papers knew, or the reporters knew that they looked at results and stuff like that. Me, my dad, and my brothers and that were doing triathlons. They rang Dad up and said, "Are you guys going to do the Triple M? We'll do a story on you." And he said, "No, we're not doing it." So,
I wonder if, maybe as a result of this chat, that maybe they'll reintroduce the father-son thing for 6 foot, because I reckon that'd be pretty special.
Well, I know another John Trotter and Brendan. That was a father and son team. Don't know. It doesn't have to be father and son, just parent child.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Yeah,
parent child.
There's an awful lot more women doing 6 foot now than used to, in terms of the and a lot of ultra racing is it's moving more into parity. Which is great. I mean, you only got to look at the UTA. Across all the races, obviously the longer stuff, there's a higher proportion of men, but then the shorter ones, higher proportion of women. But overall, I think it's pretty even. And I know they've had the husband-wife
teams and stuff like that.
Run for a long time. The reward at 6 foot for
I think
years.
Peter and Barbara Allen, they were early 6 foot trackers, and they were the husband and wife team. And the very first 6 foot, 85, there was only one female.
Helen Gabrowski.
Yeah.
Apologies if I said that wrong.
Helen, she was running around at the same time with doing marathons, with my dad and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so you knew her there?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
And but you mentioned Rod the Hornet.
Yep.
Earlier, they had the beer bet and all sorts of stuff like that. Prior to all that happening, we'd have a big booze up at the end of the. Well, not a big booze up. You'd have a few beers, but what's his name? Andrew Lloyd.
Yes,
he was always there. Because he had a connection with the Bondi people. One of Chris Stevenson's mates was Alex Nagy. Alex was a real character, He running a pair of Speedos and that's about it. But he made her along all right, But there was no one wearing Batman utility vests with all this stuff in it,
And Lloydie, I remember he was he was like an invited athlete to come because he'd gone to the 92 Commonwealth Games.
I think he won a 5,000 metre. Got a gold or
maybe at the Commonwealth Games, and so 6 foot, and then he became the goo distributor. So he was involved in the race.
I think he also won City to Surf.
Yes.
Yeah. So but he was a good character. There were some characters back in those days. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a funny guy to have a drink with. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, do you remember what shoes you wore back in those days, in the 80, 85, 86?
Yeah, I think it might just been a pair of road Brooks. There was no such thing as a so-called trail. They're just people just ran in their running shoes.
Yep.
Nobody wore gaiters.
No.
You'd empty out your socks if you got stones in your shoes and all your socks. Yeah,
and that's still part of the race experience is getting across the coxes and having to take your shoes off.
Just go across. If you get some stones in, it doesn't matter. If you don't, well, you're lucky. Just keep moving. They dry out, So Yeah, we just normal running shoes. I don't think I've ever run in anything other than normal running shoes. I've never bought a pair of trail shoes for 6 foot track as such. So you don't really, I don't know, maybe advancements in running shoes. If I was still doing it, maybe I would have a pair of grippy shoes, but I'm not doing it anymore, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely coming off mini heading down to Allen Creek.
Yeah.
All that loose scree.
Yeah.
I think going from like Asics Kayano road shoes to a trail shoe.
Yeah.
You notice the difference.
Yeah. If you're trying to pull up,
yeah.
But if you're skipping down, I don't think you'd have trouble really. But a lot of people when they go downhill tend to.
Well, it's so steep.
You got to pull up a bit.
Your legs can get away from you.
That's exactly right.
And then you're worried as soon as I stack,
you're going to pitch forward. Yeah.
I'm going to be sliding face first for a while. And so, do you know when the Striders sort of took over the running of the race, or big involvement, Sydney Striders?
I think it would have been when Kevin Tiller took over.
Right.
Yeah. So whatever year that was, because I think Big Chris stepped aside, and Kevin Tiller took over, and then I think he got the Striders involved because he was a Strider. Mm-hmm. So what year that was, I couldn't tell you, but I think it made an big impact on the running of the event. They, now they've got paces. Now they've got sweepers for every sort of. There's one sweeper at the end, but they've got paces.
For the other waves.
Yeah, the other waves. Yeah. Well, we'd never had any of that.
Well, we didn't have waves for a long time.
No, it was just Le Mans, they called it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you self-seed.
Yeah.
So even today, with the waves, nobody self-seeds. They bolt down and they hit the narrow.
Yeah,
and that's it.
The funnel.
Yeah.
At the top of Nellie's.
Yeah, they just hit that funnel and that's it. Yeah. I've seen blokes out there. One year we nicknamed him Outback Jack because he had a pair of Bloodstone boots on. Running it. Yeah. I don't think he finished. But he was.
Oh, that'd be hard going, wouldn't it?
He was skipping down Nellie's Glen. Never saw him again, so maybe he did finish, But there was some, like I said, there's a lot of characters out there. So
I was going to ask you about what a typical training week looked like for 6 foot. But I imagine then you were training for Ironmans as well.
Yeah.
So then if 6 foot was really a special training run for Ironman, but what did a typical week look like for you?
Let me set a scene for how I approach 6 foot track. Because I was running with my dad, and we were known as the Flying Boidins because we were so slow.
Oh.
Because we were fast. So I made a pact with the old man that we'd run together.
Yeah.
So for the first 3 years we ran together. And what would it take? How often does anybody get to run a 6 foot track with their father?
Yeah.
He's like
that's 30, incredibly
30 years old. You don't run away from that. You stick together.
Yeah.
And fond memories I've got of that. You just can't take that away. But that set a scene where when my brothers came along, because they weren't real keen, they weren't running marathons or trying to chase times, we just thought, we can have a good day out in the bush. So we made sure that we finished within the cut-off time.
Yep.
But we always stopped at Cox's River for a swim.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been, depending on how hot it was, 10 minutes, could have been half an hour. But we never got caught by a sweeper, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then another mate, Richard Manson, he came along, and he'd only trained a bit. He was a good runner though. But he'd only trained a bit, and we'd just link up for the day and go for a run. So for me, I never raced 6 foot track whatsoever. I was more interested in trying to better my road marathon times, that's what it was at the time, And like I said, Ironman came along, and then you didn't want to flatten yourself 4 weeks before your Ironman by racing 6 foot track as hard as you could. Mm-hmm. So you just use it as a time on the legs. And
although you did do some years, you got down in the mid-5s.
Yeah. Well, see, and if you could take
But then that's just your fitness and working on trying to get a sub-3 hour marathon.
Yeah. But also you take half an hour off that for the swim.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
So I
could have had a sub-5.
Well, that's it. No, perhaps. Well, John Trotter, for instance, his best 6 foot track time was 4:47 or something like that. Now he raced it. He always went out there to race it, but I'd always beat him by a minute or two on a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly.
So yeah, you could sort of work out.
Well, you can, but I didn't do it, so you can't. No. You can't claim what you haven't done.
So. Yeah, and that's fair. I know I've finished differently to how you'd expect against some other runners. You know, like the good road runners. And oh, you know, this guy should have been 20 minutes ahead of me.
Yeah.
But it's different, you know, with all that elevation and.
Yeah, you know. And it just depends on how you feel on the day too, you know.
And whether you're a good power walker.
Well, that is important. Yeah. I think it's really important. You know, unless you're like in the top upper echelon, like
that run all the way up,
like Mr. Artup, and co. That we all sometimes, we all have to walk.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I certainly do.
Yeah.
I certainly do. Yeah. I've got better over the years of working out when to run and when to walk. Mini and Pluty. But
I'll tell you, you know, how people, you don't use poles. You're not allowed to use poles on 6 foot track.
No.
On the first running in 85 that we did, I think it was Trevor Hamilton. You know Trevor Hamilton?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I didn't know Trevor then, but he was at the start line. He had his ski poles. He pushed up the hill, and I think his wife met him at the top, and he left them with her. So people were using poles back then, but not running poles, ski poles.
Yep.
So he just had it worked out. Yeah. So yeah.
Very good. Very good. It's often said that the Blue Mountains is it's like 2 degrees separation or 3 degrees separation. It's like if you don't know someone, you know someone who knows someone.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And for you and I, that's fairly true. Like, I mean, I think you live about 3 doors down from my daughter.
Yeah.
But when I mentioned that, you know, the first 6 foot interview we're doing for this year was with Ben Artup, you mentioned that you'd met him when he was about 12 years old.
Yeah, I think I was just doing the mathematics in my head, and I think I moved up here in 86. And I joined Springwood Swimming Club in, I think it was the season would have been 86, 87. And we were going down the pool, swimming, you know, training at Springwood Pool. And there's this little kid walking around the grounds picking up papers, you know. Hello, you know, nice kid. And he just finished his training. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm picking up papers. This pays for my squad training. I said, how'd you work that out? So Mrs. whatever her name was who did the training, she said I could train with them if I worked around the pool. So I work in the canteen and I pick up papers and keep the place clean. So I first met Ben through the swimming club.
That was him picking up the papers.
Yeah, it was him, yeah. So, okay. And he later on asked him his name, he asked me my name, and it was Mr. and Mrs. Boidin, and, you know, and then later became Dom, and, you know, Ben, so I knew Ben, you know, and I met his dad and his mum at swimming club and stuff like that, yeah. So that's the first association I've had with Ben, right? But later on, his father asked me, Ben got interested in running, and his father knew that I was into triathlons and running and done the 6 foot track and stuff like that. He said, you know, would you mind taking Ben for a run? I said, yeah, not a problem. He said, why? He said, he's got this energy he needs to burn off. So anyway, I used to meet him at the top of Gross Road near Springwood High School.
Yep.
And we'd run out to Forco Point and back.
Uh-huh.
Righto. And I think he was about 14. Probably about 14. And it was a great run, you know.
Because that'd be about 16 k's from the school.
Yeah. It's I think it's about 16k, yeah. So first 7 or 8 weeks, you know, I was keeping right ahead of him. By week 8, mate, he was on my tail. Week 9, blew me away. Yeah, he could run, And then he got interested in triathlons. So we'd meet, we'd cycle from home, which we both lived in the same sort of area, out to Winmalee. We'd run around the Blue Gum Swamp.
Yep.
And then we'd cycle back home. It was a training run, And within no time, he was blowing that away too. And then he just went from strength to strength, and away he went.
Yeah.
So we've also always had a connection through, because the swimming club and triathlon and running. We've always sort of known what one another's sort of doing, and been sort of pretty good mates. Not like I think I'm 20 years older than him, but not like he's 50-year-old mates. But mates. Yeah, nonetheless.
So and how nice would it have been? So the year that you got your 24th 6 foot, living legend, it was 2009.
Yeah, he won it,
and he won. That was the year he won it and set the new record.
Yeah.
That would be.
It was
really
pretty special.
Nice.
We got a nice photo together at the end of it. He had his demon, and I had my demon that day.
Uh-huh.
I had to finish it. Had to get that, because that they've got this thing in there waiting for you, and you want to finish.
You want to earn it.
You've got to finish it.
Not make them hold it on for another year. Yeah.
I think I made sure that I got to the Pluvy in plenty of time, so that I had to coast in. I could coast in, so I made sure I was watching the clock that day.
So I didn't wear the 6 foot shirt for that year, 2009, which was the year that you got your living legend status, because I wore that for the Ben Artup interview.
That's all right, mate.
For his race record. So today I'm rocking the 2013
one,
which was your 27th.
My last one. Yeah.
6 foot. So in honor of that.
Oh, beautiful, mate. Yeah, beautiful.
I'll wear it this one.
That sounds good. But I've gone on some good adventures with Ben also, outside of running. Searching for Aboriginal art in the Wallamai and stuff like that. So we've had some good memories together in our time. Yeah. So so it's good. Yeah.
And have you caught up with him in the last couple of years? He's still pursuing FKTs in the Wallamai.
Yes,
He's just
I know.
done 2 in 2 years.
Him and Steve, they're pushing pretty hard. I haven't seen him. Last time I saw him was about maybe 3 years ago up in Noosa. He'd come down from Bundaberg for the weekend, and we happened to be up there. So we got together and we did a couple of swimming laps of the beach. That's really where we began, in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So the running came a bit later, So
And is swimming your thing now?
These days, I used to do a lot of ocean swims also. I know I've done 27 6 foot tracks, and I've got my legend, but I've always been sort of multidisciplined. Always pursued, trained, not just specifically for one thing. And I did a lot of ocean swims too. Palm Beach to Whale Beach, and the old Bondi Cold Classic, which later on moved to Manly, and Warriewood to Mona Vale and stuff, swims like that, Yes, and these days I don't run anymore. I had an injury to my quad, where I ruptured the quad tendon. Not through running, through something else, but I can still run, but I choose not to run, as Jerry Seinfeld would say. I choose not to run. And now I swim. I swim probably 3K a day. Sometimes I do 5s. On my birthday last year, I did a 6K. And I'm back having a crack at the ocean swims. So
very nice.
So last year I only did one, the Manly Cold Classic, which is 2K. And so I'll go again this year, and linking up with another brother, a sister, a niece and a nephew. So we're all going to do it together. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so it's good fun. Yeah.
All great memories.
Yeah. And we start, like I said, I got photos all my brothers and my dad at Bondi Beach for the Coal Classic back in '83 or something like that. You know, so all good fun. Yeah, we've been doing that sort of stuff for years. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's really special. Like, you know, if you think back for your call it a career, like sporting career, you know, like it's and especially like training in the mountains and going on trail runs and adventures, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like you have these special times with your friends,
yeah,
mates, but yeah, like it's extra special when you can do it.
Yeah. You know, you asked me earlier, look, a training run for 6 foot track. How do I approach it? Well, look, I was always training. You know, I had a mate live around the corner from me, Riley Lee. Now, Riley Lee is a specialist shakuhachi flute player. The shakuhachi is a Japanese flute, right? And he's a grand master.
Okay.
And I'd be running when we first moved to the mountains, and my wife was pregnant. We had around that block around where we live. It's 9/10 of a kilometre. No, it's 1.1. Sorry, 1.1. So I figured I could do 30K by doing so many laps around it. People thought I was a nut just running around it.
Yep.
Well, no one was running in those days either. Although people were running, but it was rare to see somebody running, you know. Yeah. And Riley was sitting in his balcony up the top, and he saw me running past his time in it. And he pulled me up, and he said, you do a bit of running, do you? And I said, well, obviously, you know. And he said, want to go for a run? I've run a few marathons and blah, blah, blah. And he grew up in Hawaii.
Right.
And then he moved over to here. So we'd run from our places, which is close, or out to Forco Point and back. But later on the 6 foot track, me and my brothers and Richard and John Trotter and people like and Chris Knutson, we'd all met at my place. We'd run out to Forco Point, come back, and we'd drop down to the river. That little track.
The gross
track, yeah.
Right, that's a really hard 2Ks, 2.5 Ks.
That was our hill work.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't run it, but you've got to charge out of there hard walking. So we do that a couple of times, and then we just have a crack at the 6 foot
So did
track.
your training mirror your 6 foot racing where you'd have a swim halfway?
Correct.
Because it is a good swim spot down at the Gross. Yeah.
You've nailed it.
Yeah.
Yes, you've got it in one, yeah. I think somebody's always said, where there's water, you'll find Dom.
Okay.
Yeah, so in it. So, yeah. That's basically how we approached it. And like I said, we're always 6 foot track, always turned up the same time around when triathlons are on also. So we're always doing a lot of cycling, running and swimming. So the whole lot just evolved.
So how many hours a week would you have been spending training then?
Well, I was lucky.
15 to 20 or something like that?
Look, an average day would be... So when I moved... I think I moved into Parramatta to work in about 89, so it was 3 years after I got married. I would cycle into Parramatta, I'd swim at lunchtime, and I'd cycle home. So I worked it into the day where I wasn't coming home on a 2-hour train.
And then having to do it.
Then have to go out, and then got to Penrith, so I'd roll down the hill, 10K run at lunchtime, ride up the hill, grab the family, go to the pool. So it all worked out well, you know. And we'd always, like yourself and like a lot of other runners, you'd be up at the crack of dawn for a run. The kids are 9 times out of 10 asleep. Yeah. So by the time you get back, they're awake, and and we just bundled in. And was still big in the water, you know. Taught the kids how to swim, taught them how to ride a surfboard, all sorts of stuff like that, how to body surf.
So what beach were you doing nippers with?
Funny, we were part of Blacktown Swimming Club, but my dad and another mate, Johnny Martin, who was a state swimmer, they used to swim with this mob called Blacktown Beavers, which was a winter swimming club, right? Anyway, Johnny Martin, he said to the old man, let's get the boys, because he's boys too, let's get them into the nippers. So we'd go to North Avoca.
All right.
So we'd trundle up to North Avoca, and so we...
That would have been a hike.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Then before the, you know...
Yeah.
the motorways and all that.
Yeah.
Slow.
But it was to get the club strong, like because Dad was coaching footy teams, so if we had kids in the team that were fast, they become the beach sprinter. So you drag everybody into it, So, but we were the swimmers, so and I was lucky enough to.
Of course, you could have about 8 kids in a station wagon back then.
Right? Easy, mate. Yeah, easy.
You didn't need seatbelts.
4 or 5 eskies, I was lucky enough to make the state titles in the surf teams race when I was 14 at Allura, because we placed third at in the what would you call it, region, the Central Coast region, at Soldiers Beach. So lucky enough to go to Allura and have a crack. So never set the world on fire, but you're in there doing it, which is the main thing. Yeah. So it's been great. We haven't talked a lot about 6 foot track though, have we?
We've talked enough about 6 foot track. No, absolutely. I think we've covered a whole lot about 6 foot track.
Yeah. The 6 foot track, really, it's been the longest journey of all the sporting things that I've done. If you look at it, you're 24 years to become a legend and then qualify. It's a quarter of a century of your life. And it's not just anyone can run 24 6 foot tracks, but not over 24 years. Yeah. Oh,
you mean like you just if you went back a month later and a month later.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
I could do that. I could do that. What, over 25 years without getting badly injured or
and being able to meet the cutoff still.
And turn up on that date. Yeah. So that in itself is something to, sit back and reflect on and go, like I was able to do that, I don't know how many legends now. Be 11?
I think 11.
11, yeah. And
there was a big gap where there wasn't any growth in those numbers.
That's right.
I think it was just like the last 2 or 3 years. It's like 4 people, I think, in 3 years or something like that. So
I think the 6 foot.
It's like a wave.
In terms of explosion of numbers, I think that happened prior to 2009. It was pretty slow, and then all of a sudden, boom! The trail running, as they call it, just exploded. People wanted to go and experience this thing. I suppose you didn't have to have a bike, you didn't have to have a wetsuit, so everything changed. So we'll just go and run. Great, and that in itself changed the whole face of running too. Like I mentioned before, the Batman utility vest with everybody got all the gear.
Well, I was going to ask you about that or comment on that, because across 27 odd years, and you did have 2 years that you didn't run in that 27.
Yeah,
so we're all consecutive. So sort of over 29
84, 84. I missed 84.
Yeah,
which was the start.
Yeah.
So I missed 88.
Yeah,
and then from then I didn't miss till I got to 24. So 3 I miss, and then all the way through to 24.
Okay, all right.
And then I think 9, I got 10, 11, 12 was cancelled.
Well, yeah, so I knew there was another one that you didn't run.
12 was cancelled because it was the flooding.
That's right.
Yeah. And 13 I ran. And
so over 29 years, you would have seen a lot of change in that.
Too right.
What's provided maybe at the aid stations, like in terms of the hydration.
Yeah.
Stuff. The clothes, because one of the things when I look at those old photos of the first 7 guys heading out, in the Echo, and they're all got the split shorts, the marathon runners shorts, and that was all the rage back then, and probably for quite a number of years. And then you would have seen that everyone then went into the skins, the micro-style shorts, because there's less chafing and all that. And now everyone's wearing baggier shorts,
And you've got body glue, or what's called body slide. Whatever it's called, But in terms of equipment, that 86 year when it was really hot, we had an old towel in a backpack, and we cut it, tore it up. We had our drink bottles in our hands. Within about 20 minutes of getting water, it was hot.
Yep.
So we wrapped a wet towel around it, and might have lasted another 20 minutes. You probably dropped a couple of tea bags in there, have a cup of tea. It got that hot, Yeah, but, it's always been well catered for food and stuff like that, But we found apple juice and stuff like that was really good, And then later on, you got your Gatorade and you got your Sports Plus and you got your all the other stuff that comes along, Powerade
and then all the gels
and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you would have seen the similar with triathlon, like the growth with that.
Yeah,
Besides the bikes getting more and more expensive each year.
Correct.
The introduction of CT bikes.
The soft rides. Remember the soft rides? They didn't. The top bar come out like so, and it wasn't the seat wasn't connected to anything, so it sort of. So there was a soft ride, and then what do they call it? The profile bars. They were like big bullhorns initially, people, but that all changed. Everything changed, So gear, you have to look the part, Well, I didn't, but a lot you got to, It was, and it's geared towards the really young kids that are coming into it to look the part, because that's where you're going to get your money for.
Although ultras like 6 foot, it's still not a young person's game.
Ultras, that's a totally different thing.
I think the average age is probably still hovering in the 40s to even early 50s for that race. So.
I did the Oxfam once, 100K. I got called into that by a mate that qualified for Hawaii from work for the Ironman at Kona. And he said, one of our blokes has got to pull out. He said, the only other person I can think to do it with no training at all is you. Yep. I said, okay. Me and him just wanted to keep moving, but the other two guys, they kept wanting to stop. But that was an experience, a lot of blisters and stuff like that. But it was all good fun. That's probably, apart from 6 foot track, that's the only ultra. Plus that. No, I tell a lie. Greg Love. Mm-hmm. Greg Love, he won the 6 foot about 4 times. He ran a race on the Central Coast. It was, what was it called? It was around a Brisbane Water Bush Bash.
Uh-huh.
It was a 50K. And that was a good solid run. We did that a couple of years in a row. Yeah, and all the old heads from, would have been the late 80s, early 90s, all the old heads turned up from 6 foot that were there, Mountain Man and Bobby Fickle and all those guys, Maxie, Big Chris, Greg Love, they were all there. So, it was all good fun. Yeah. A lot of memories, mate. You bring them all, they're all flooding back in there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could help ignite that fire.
Bring
them back.
No, I don't forget about that stuff. I was talking to Shane down at 2773 and just the other day, and we were talking about all the old times and what happened. And when I did I think it was 84, my second Napoleon, he did his first. He was 11 when I was like 28. So he's been out a long time too. Mm. So yeah, but it's, like I said before, 6 foot track. It was a large part of my life, and I'm glad I did it. It can't be taken away from you.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so
including your race number, LL2.
Yeah. Even doesn't go out there again. Yeah. It's I've still got the cloth number. I've never worn the cloth number. Just the race number that they give you. So stacked away somewhere, nice and quiet. Yeah. So all good.
All good. Well, thank you. It's been really special to talk to you.
Mate.
And hear some of these memories. So thank you so much for,
mate, Rob,
for giving me your time.
No, thank you very much. It's I'm very humbled that you asked me to do it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, it's not every day I get to speak to a legend, an actual living legend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, thanks. And I'm sure that all the people listening to this
I hope they enjoy
it.
Hope they get something out of it. And,
sure they will.
Keep training.
Keep training?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dom.
Thanks, mate.